OneCFO is a tech-enabled and AI-driven platform for bookkeeping, taxes, and CFO services for small businesses and startups in Southeast Asia, starting in the Philippines. Jay Olos is the founder and CEO at OneCFO. So, hello Jay. We're very honored to have you dito sa Startup Podcast.
Thank you, Johnny. Thanks for having me. And I've been really so excited to guest here and to also talk with you. Salamat, salamat.
Yes, you've had a long story no in the startup world. You've had lots of experiences and actually medyo nanggaling si OneCFO sa Olos Consulting. So I hope we can learn more about those story and ano na nga bang ginagawa ni OneCFO ngayon. So to start it all, ano nga ba Jay ang OneCFO?
Yeah, OneCFO, think about OneCFO na parang ano kami, we are a firm, a tech-enabled platform, no? So yun ang kinaibahan namin sa the usual or traditional firms. Kami sobrang everything is almost cloud-based, tech-enabled. Meron kaming mga machine learning and AI on the bookkeeping side and even up to reporting. Kasi it's just coming from my experience also being one of top finance guys in some of the companies, be it corporates or even startups here in the Philippines and abroad. What I noted is that within the finance department, ang daming legacy systems, no? And yung mga accountants, yung mga financial analysts, most of the time, they are parang nakakulong sila doon sa way of doing things based like decades ago pa. Kung kaya naman siyang tapusin, yung report na yan, yung mga analysis na yan sa management, sa investor report, in just one click of a button, bakit hindi natin gawin? So, that's basically what we are doing at OneCFO. We are like your finance department on your mobile phone.
I see. Yes. Actually, I think ang accounting kasi and like financial services, financial functions, very important siya sa kahit anong negosyo. Actually, I know kasi my parents are business owners so they have an accountant before. Pupuntahin sa bahay namin. Tapos may ledger pa na manual sinusulat yung lahat ng mga gastos, assets, liabilities, etc. And it's true no na yung mga accounting firms for example, they still use legacy systems. Maybe baka nga papel-papel lang eh. So here we're introducing innovation. We're putting the tech we have now in today's world, AI, machine learning, into this aspect na mahalaga sa bawat business. Pero the name is OneCFO. So maybe just to clear it out no sa ating mga listeners. So ano nga ba muna ang CFO? I mean, it means Chief Financial Officer, right? Pero ano ba talaga yung parang specific roles niya in a startup maybe for example?
Yeah. So a CFO stands for Chief Financial Officer, yung iba Chief Finance Officer. So ito yung pinakamataas na posisyon sa finance department ng anumang company. Normally, in other organizations, depende sa laki, minsan next to the CEO is the CFO, yung iba naman pangatlo. So CEO, COO, tapos may CFO. So all in all, the CFO talaga is parang plays a very vital role, very important role in the growth of the organization. Hindi lang yan yung bookkeeping, accounting, tax, no? But basically, ano ba yung vision, for example, ng board or ng CEO? Everything at the end of the day, everything boils down to financial. So the CFO has that responsibility to put that vision, that strategy into a viable, sustainable financial strategy and then execute it. So kasama sa execution din yung ensuring na properly staff yung finance department, yung treasury is okay, yung bookkeeping, even yung relationship with the regulators like BIR, SEC, and later on also with the auditors because we have yearly audit, kasama yon. So CFO ang responsible talaga doon.
Yeah, actually in what I know, my background kasi is an industrial engineer no. So we also study
Okay.
management. So ang finance, ito yung parang dugo. Ito yung parang dugo ng isang negosyo, ng isang system kasi finance are the resources that kumbaga they flow into the whole organization. They are used to transact. And maybe ang role nga ng CFO yung puso, I mean yung taga-pump at saka yung taga-ensure na nare-regulate yung flow ng dugo. What do you think about this?
Yeah, totoo yun. Sabi nga nila, nung nasa accounting school pa kami, by the way, shout out sa mga PSBA graduate, hello. So, sabi nga nila parang accounting is the language of business, no? Parang ganon. Kasi everything boils down to financials, no? So, yung iba naman sinasabi, it's yung blood, tama ka, no? Yung money is the blood of the business. Pero paano mo naman may ensure na dumadaloy ng maayos yung dugo sa negosyo kung walang nag-ensure na malinis yung dugo, nakakapag-pump yung heart ng negosyo, as sabi mo nga, it's the finance, yung heart, no? Para maging healthy yung buong negosyo. So that's basically yung role namin sa finance.
Yeah, but speaking of this, kasi OneCFO is parang targeting now small businesses and startups, ano? In the perspective of a startup, I'm not that sure kasi usually nag-start ang startup sa isang tao lang and then unti-unti nag-grow. Pero paano malalaman ng isang startup na parang talagang kailangan na niya ng CFO services or ng CFO? For example, pag dumadami na ba yung mga transactions niya, pag kailangan na ba na magbayad ng tax. So parang how specifically, and para din alam ng ating mga listeners na startups na when should they call for OneCFO services?
Actually, magandang tanong yan kasi tama ka, hindi lahat ng founders, kasi I used to be a co-founder also, now I'm now a founder again, is alam or meron talagang background on finance. And sa umpisa ng kahit anumang startup, ang tanong lagi dyan is, okay, if you're a builder, may product kang i-build, kung ikaw ay tech guy, so kaya mong i-build dyan. Pero ang tanong lagi, how are you going to monetize that? Diba? When you go to investor pitches, tatanungin yan eh. So kung sa akin, actually, you don't need a full-time CFO kung nasa patawag dito, very early stages. When I say very early stage, pre-seed, ganyan. Ang kailangan mo lang somebody like a financial a financial advice, somebody who can give you a financial advice strategically, and how are you going to model out yung startup mo financially. So kung nag-fundraise ka, because of the ongoing crunch ngayon, no, funding winter, and a lot of investors talaga are nagiging conscious na, they are really looking into your financial projection. Kung wala kang skill na yon, I suggest you reach out to CFOs like us sa OneCFO, kasi we help a lot of startups as well on financial modeling, financial projection, determining their valuation, kasi hindi lahat nga ng founders may finance background. Ngayon, kung ikaw is founder na you're confident, for example, ex-investment banker ka, kaya mo yan, no? Ang problem naman kasi sa mga ex-investment banker founders, they're not accountants. So, pagdating sa taxes, nahihirapan sila. So, kaya ang advice din namin, you can also opt na we can help you on if not the entire financial projection modeling sa startup, on the taxes side, we can also help you properly plan for it. Lalo na kung multi-jurisdiction ka, multi-country approach. Ayun.
Yeah, actually, those are actually very intricate details, no? Pero siguro, ang question for a founder din, I'm not a founder, pero maybe for our founder listeners dito, na parang, what's the difference of having an in-house CFO to outsourcing a CFO, maybe from OneCFO? I mean, I just want to raise that question.
Unang sagot dyan, pare, cost.
Okay.
Seryoso, Pops. Kasi, when you hire a full-time CFO, 6 figures agad yan, guaranteed. Oo. Unless may kukuha ka ng CFO na co-founder mo, nabibigyan mo ng equity share din. No? So, okay yon. Pero most of the time, hindi afford eh. So, that's one advantage na i-outsource mo na lang. And project-based. Kasi, kailangan mo lang naman on fundraising minsan eh. Di ba? Yun. Ngayon, kapag okay na, nakapag-fundraise ka na, may mga transactions ka na, question ngayon is, kailangan mo pa ba ng CFO? Actually, full-time. If you're not, this is my general advice. If you're not a fintech company, I think you can do your outsourcing ng finance function mo up to Series B. Bakit? Kasi, ang fintech kasi, ang produkto mismo is finance services most of the time. So, kailangan mo ng finance guy, hindi lang on the back office, pero magiging part siya ng product design, ideation, up to the testing and execution. So, in my previous experiences, kasama ako lagi sa product management actually. So, yun. So, yun yung isang use case din, kaya kailangan mo ng CFO. Now, kung sa tingin mo naman na the budget is not an issue, then I say, after mo makapag-fundraise, lalo given the downturn, sinasabi ng downturn ngayon, you need really to have financial discipline so you can extend your runway. The more na kailangan mo ng somebody who knows finances to guide you. Kailangan mo ng CFO.
Yeah, I get it now. I get it. I get the point. Let's go muna sa sa fundraising. I think this is one very hot trendy topic, especially for our founders. Maybe can you just share lang muna yung parang process ng fundraising, maybe from pre-seed, Series A, Series B, and parang ano yung differences ng mga yun at ano like specifically yung maybe yung role ng isang CFO in each of those stages. And maybe you can share some secrets to fundraising that I mean, can you just share these pieces of advice maybe?
Sige. Actually, pre-seed idea stage normally. Yan, no? So wala pang produkto, it's just an idea. Kaya most of the time, the pre-seed stage, this is the first parang funding, external funding in a company, or be it in a startup or a small business. Pre-seed yan. So it's normally not more than $1 million. So far ang mga nakita ko. Ayan. Tapos, maliit lang din ang dilution. Normally, naglalaro sa 10% to 20%, depending na lang on the sector and depending on negotiation, no, between the founders and the prospect investors. And most of the time, mga angels yung nagpa-participate sa pre-seed. Yun. So, pero now, the seed, no, minsan may mga seed na wala pang produkto, idea lang, pero okay because may traction yung founder. So, the founder can raise money kahit seed pa lang, wala pa mismong produkto because may traction siya. Pero, most of the time, yung seed, meron ng MVP, may prototype na. So, kailangan na lang is to enhance further yung MVP na yun, develop talaga in a full product to test it out in the market. So, that's basically the objective why you need a seed round. Ang ticket sizes ng seed round, well, may mga seed round na talagang parang outlier na lalaki ng tickets nila. Pero most of the time, nakikita ko more than 1M yan. Same dilution, 10 to 20%. Minsan may nakita akong 25, ganyan. So, that is the seed round. And most of the time, may mga nag-join na ng mga VCs dito, mga venture capitalists or institutional investors. Particularly yung mga early stage focus funds. Now, after ma-launch yung produkto, ma-develop ma-turn yung MVP into something na workable na product talaga, diyan na papasok yung Series A, no? Series A, before you hit Series A, you need to hit, of course, the milestone that you set when you raise your seed round. Okay. So I think that's one of the secrets, no? Mapapansin mo, hindi lahat nakakapag-raise ng Series A, no? Mas lalong hindi lahat nakakapag-raise ng Series B. So, and so on and so forth, no? Kasi maraming metrics depende sa industriya, depending kung fintech ka ba, agritech ka ba, whatsoever, yung mga metrics na yon. So, ako normally because I came from fintech, no? So, ang mga nakikita kong mga na-experience ko noon is that kapag nahihit mo na yung close to or almost 1 million ARR ka na, you're basically ready for the next round. You're ready for scale. Ibig sabihin, sizable na yung revenue mo. May product market fit na na-establish na. So, the next step for you is to scale. So, dyan ka na papasok ng Series B naman. So, Series B is about really scaling, market expansion, and expansion in terms of product vertical or geographic, or it can be an acquisition. It can be may acquire kang companies and so on and so forth. So, Series C, D, and E, yan, yung mga tingin ko dyan, mga mezzanine rounds na yan, until such time na mag-IPO ka or mag-exit ka, depending on the vision na or strategy. I hope I answered your question. There's no specific answer kasi depende din siya on the startup itself, the industry, and also ano ba yung appetite din ng mga investors and the board nila.
So thank you Jay sa sa tutorial na yun sa about fundraising. Pero I'm a teacher kasi and I have students, and most of my students, they actually ask anong ginagawa ng mga founders dun sa pera na yun kasi they raise over $1 million, over $10 million, pero saan pa usually mostly napupunta yung pera na yun after fundraising? I mean, parang ang distribution lang maybe to operations, to pagpapasweldo. So for for equipment, whatever. So, paano ba na-distribute yung dugo na yun, kumbaga, ano?
Yeah. For early stage companies, it's common ang fundraising story nila. Of course, they need to build the product or they need to grow. They need to acquire yung market share milestones nila, mahit nila. So pumapasok yon sa, usually sa hiring, no? Payroll, kumbaga. So mag-hire sila ng mga tao or if not tao, consultants, professionals who can help them achieve kung ano yung kailangan nilang i-develop na produkto or ma-launch na produkto or matap nila yung target market nila. So, most of the time, ang malaking cost talaga ng mga startups is their, on the hiring. Kasama, marami na akong nakita na halos lahat ng narrative is, we need money to hire more people or we need hire money to develop the product, but we need to hire engineers. So it all boils down to hiring people, no? So pag sa mag-hire ka ng people, another use of proceeds, yung tinatawag namin, use of proceeds pag nakapag-fundraise, these people, you need to equip them. You need to buy them their laptops, you need to buy them their tools, yung mga SaaS subscriptions nila so they can do the coding, they can do the integrations and whatnots. So doon papasok. Ngayon, kung yung startup is medyo heavy on assets, when you say assets, infrastructure, then there's also a portion like, halimbawa, kailangan mag-build ng tower or kailangan mag-build ng mga robots. So, papasok din yon as use of proceeds. And may mga startups naman, like, for example, usual to sa mga e-commerce, no? Commerce firms or even fintech pala, may produkto na sila, they need to get the word out there. So they will be using some proceeds for marketing and growth. So that's sales na kasama na dyan, customer acquisition nila, if they want to advertise on Facebook, on Google, or ngayon, may ChatGPT na, di ba? I don't know if monetize na nila yon, pero I think with the partnership with Bing, pwede na, no? So, yung mga gano'n, that's the usual. Tao, gagamitin nyo sa pag-hire ng tao, sa pag-launch ng bagong product, sa pag-purchase ng mga software, tools, and other equipments, and of course, marketing and growth.
Yan, ayan, at least nasagot na natin. Matagal na itong tanong. After 80 episodes, nasagot na natin yung tanong about fundraising. So, salamat, Jay.
Okay.
Let's go naman dun sa platform. So, OneCFO is a tech-enabled and AI-driven platform. So, do you also use ChatGPT in your financial services? I mean, how do you use AI, kumbaga, in your service?
Wala pa, pare. Kasi alam mo, problema sa ChatGPT, medyo minsan sablay yung nakukuha niya na information, mga obsolete na, no? Lalo pa sa profession namin as accountants and finance professionals, nagbabago lagi ang regulations, nagbabago lagi ang batas, maya't maya may na-issue na tax law, na whatsoever. Unless and until siguro ma-configure nila yung ChatGPT na pwede i-connect sa BIR, ganyan. Pag nag-issue ang Department of Finance or BIR or SEC ng bagong regulation, makukuha agad ni ChatGPT. Pwede yon, di ba? So, ayun, ganun siya. And another thing yung sinasabi nating tech-enabled kami sa OneCFO, because we're using a lot of cloud technologies na merong embedded AI and ML functionality, and we're also integrating all these systems na usually hindi nag-uusap sa isa't isa, like ERPs and payroll systems and Google Sheets, mga ganyan. Ini-integrate namin yan into something na meaningful report para yung ikaw as startup founder or small business owner, hindi ka na magsusunog ng oras mo, no, na parang hintayin mo yung mga staff accountant mo na after a week or after a month saka lang ma-report sa yung financial statement o yung P&L mo, ganun.
And here's a question. So what differentiates a high quality CFO to a not so high quality CFO? I mean, I'm asking this kasi
baka magalit sa akin yan.
I mean, ano lang yung parang sorry for the question, pero parang ang question kasi basically is parang you're using tech now and baka may difference when you use tech, baka may not so positive effect when you use tech compared to sa mga legacy systems noon na talagang tao mismo yung nag-check baka maybe about errors, about about like miscalculations or maybe some kind. I mean, how exactly kumbaga yung difference of the results when you use tech now?
Ang pinakaiba talaga is yung agility and yung speed in preparation and also yung recording from identifying pa lang then recording and also pagdating dun sa reporting. Honestly, sa tingin ko, hindi naman fully replace yung mga manual aspects because number one, I firmly believe na while there's a lot of existing processes and systems na pwedeng ma-replace ng AI or machine learning, if ever, hindi ma-replace pa agad-agad yung human judgment, no? Kasi hindi naman lahat nasa Google. Marami dyan nasa experience. Like ako, in my case, hindi naman ako nag-google lagi pag may tanong sa akin yung mga kliyente ko. I can answer that based on my experience, my network's experience and insights as well. So that's something that irreplaceable. So I think back to your question, what's the difference between a high quality CFO and a not so high quality CFO? I guess it's yung a high quality CFO definitely appreciates and makes use of available technology to complement or even supplement yung skill set niya. Kasi papunta tayo doon Hindi pwedeng 2023 na. Nasa 1970s or 1980s way of doing accounting ka pa rin, no? Papapag-iwanan ka talaga. It will incur losses for you, mababa yung billable rates mo because hindi ka efficient.
Yeah.
So, mga ganun.
Yeah, I think it really boils down to efficiency, how you use technology, how you use these machines, this new technology, these new innovations to make accounting, bookkeeping more efficient. Now, can we know some startups or some small businesses that OneCFO have been working with para lang din makuha natin yung picture on who really are the clients or who really can benefit from OneCFO services?
Yeah, pa ako nagpaalam sa kanila kung pwede kong sabihin, no? Pero
industry lang ganun.
I'll just give some insights on the industry. So we have edtech, we have health tech, we have fintech, we have agritech. We have YC companies, no, in our platform. There was a point in time that I was the CFO of 60% of all YC companies here in the Philippines. Yeah. Yeah, tapos and then meron din kami mga small businesses that are into import-export, wholesale, manufacturing. Tapos meron din bago ngayon na medyo hardware, technology, ganyan. So, very din. Kumbaga, kasi ito yung mapapansin mo, ito yung mga businesses na nangangailangan talaga ng automation. For example, on inventory management. Very old school kung alam mo yun, gagamit ka pa ng yung usual stock card. As an industrial engineer, alam mo yun, di ba? Yung cards, last in, first cards, ganyan.
Kanban,
diba? Kanban, oo. So, we're trying to help our clients automate that front. Marami namang available tools dyan So, and given our experience and insights then, we make them more effective and efficient. Especially, tumataas ang halaga ng sibuyas, for example, for agritech. Kailangan mo silang tulungan na mapapababa yung costs nila, di ba?
That's what I'm about to mention. Cost, I think dun din nag-boil down, efficiency and cost. Kasi yun nga, if I'm a founder, if I'm a technical founder na wala akong alam about financial models, I think it's best to begin with outsourcing a CFO para ma-develop din yung pinaka-start ko na financial model. I mean, I can start with that. Even pre-seed funding, I can start with that. And who knows in the future, di ba? I mean, I can continue outsourcing or maybe I can have my own in-house. Pero I think it's very important. Kung wala talaga akong alam, I have to admit, wala akong alam sa specifics, sa intricacies ng financial modeling. So I think if I'm a startup founder, I think I'll get OneCFO services. Wow, nag-testimonial.
Salamat. Actually, tama yun. Ngayon, financial modeling, forecast yan ngayon no? So forecast mo revenue mo, cost mo. I think what differentiates us is that we know we are certified kumbaga finance professionals like I myself, ang dami kong certification kung ilalagay. Pero I think in the financial modeling, ang importante doon yung assumptions na ginagamit mo, kung reasonable ba? Kung katanggap-tanggap ba sa mga investors mo? Is it based on industry experience or yung current trends din? It's minsan insider knowledge din like how much is the conversion rate on this kind of vertical, on this kind of startup. You cannot just Google it.
Gets. Yeah.
So, kaya marami kaming mga nagiging kliyente na lalapit talaga sa amin for that. Kasi alam nila, may expertise kami dito. Yung mga
Yeah.
assumptions na ginagamit namin, hindi talaga out of thin air. Hindi talaga siya parang magiging sobrang ganda lang nung financial model nila. Kasi ako, as a trained accountant, conservative ako sa totoo lang. So, I balance things out na kailangan maganda yung papakita ko. Nagpa-fundraise sila eh. Pero at the same time, kaya kong suportahan in case ma-financial due diligence ako. And I'm proud to say na so far lahat ng I think 100 FDDs na ang na-undergo ko in my almost 10 years experience in the startup finance world. Lahat naman pasado sila. So basically, yeah, yun yung bentahe rin namin. Kaya thank you kung in your perspective is you think you need one CFO for
Yeah,
that.
tsaka I think especially for startups, kasi ang startups, they carry a lot of risk and they thrive in a very fast, agile, always changing ecosystem. So, hindi madaling mag-assume, hindi madaling mag-project in the startup world kasi those are new things eh. Hindi yung mga traditional Jollibee,
Yes.
McDo na madaling mahirap i-model pero parang marami ng built na na pagkokopyahan, parang ganun eh. With startups, it's very different eh. Pero if you have one CFO na may expertise sa startups, baka mas convincing maybe to investors and to
Yes.
other stakeholders. Anyway, let's go sa story, Jay. Thank you for sharing about OneCFO. Pero, ayun nga, so, I mentioned na you've had a lot of experience in the startup world. Pero why really did you start OneCFO? Maybe you can narrate lang yung story and how really you started this your own founded startup actually.
Yes. Actually, if you know my background kasi, I came from the poorest of the poor, if I may, no? So, ang nanay at tatay ko talaga are micro-entrepreneurs. Meron lang kaming sari-sari store nung araw, nagluluto ng ulam, gulay, mga ganyan. Tas nila na binibenta namin dun sa mga, yung mga papasok pa lang sa office, minsan nagbabaon sila. Alam mo yung spaghetti na gawa lang sa ketchup, mga ganon. Nagpapak ako ng mga ganon before, tapos binibenta namin sa malapit sa tabi ng bahay namin. So, my mom kasi, yung mother ko, like my late mother, she's a finance graduate. So, tinuruan niya ako very early on kung paano maghawak talaga ng pera. So, na-imbibe sa akin yun. Pero, after high school, never ko talagang na maging finance professional eh. Parang, out of the blue na lang, parang sinabi ng isang kong pinsan na, mag-accounting ka. Kasi, ang gusto ko na maglaw talaga. Mahilig kasi ako hindi mo sa debate, but it's more on learning the principles kasi galing ako sa underprivileged tayo, no? So, gusto ko yung pantay, yung equity and justice, kumbaga. Matulungan ko yung brethren ko on that. So, ito accounting. And then, nung nakapasa na ako ng board and all, napasok ako sa big four firms, na-handle ko both worlds, mga conglomerates, mga international companies, multinationals, and then meron din mga small businesses. And then ako compare ko, sabi ko, so ano kaya yung reason bakit lumaki itong mga businesses na to as compared dito sa mga small businesses na to? So while yung mga peers ko are very focused on making sure na yung audit procedures are followed, ako naman,
Nice.
I try to read between the lines. Ano yung naging motivation ng board to make a decision on this? Why they launch a new product? How they come up with this new product? Paano nila mineasure yung unit economics ng product na yun na magiging successful? So doon. And then nung mga mid-20s ako, sabi ko, very entrepreneurial. I released a side hustle, which is a sole practice, consulting din. So marami din tayong natulungan mga small business owners. Kumbaga nandun na. And then early 2011, 2012, andyan na, lumalabas na yung mga early stages talaga ng tech dito sa region, no? So I was part of a big four firm na nag-audit ng mga super early tech startups nung time na yon. So na-curious ako. Sa feeling ko, 10 years from now, what will the world look like? So na-curious ako. Sabi ko, this might be the future. So I left that job and then nagkaroon ng opportunity to join initially a VC. And then I was assigned by that VC to be the head of finance of one of the portfolio companies. At doon na nag-flourish yung ano ko. Pero hindi pa rin, ang goal ko doon is to know how really to build a company from the ground up and scale like globally.
Mhm.
Nung nakuha ko na yon, sabi ko, hindi na, kahit na nasa ibang bansa ako, Pinoy ako eh. I mean, gusto kong maka-contribute sa 99 point something, 99.5 or 0.6% na SMEs dito sa atin sa Pilipinas. Kasi they basically employ 70% of the workforce. So, I felt like I have that responsibility being a finance professional now to help educate them, to help service them, give them the top professional services, but at a fraction of its usual cost to them. That's why I launched OneCFO and even yung precursor niya, which is Olos Consulting. So I hope I was able to answer your question.
Yeah, I really like those explanations, ano, especially yung parang what I learned actually is we talked about kanina, no, yung parang what makes a high quality CFO. Pero I think as what you've said, hindi lang yung by the book, hindi lang yung pag-memorize on how to do financial modeling, but understanding the philosophy behind it, I think is very important. And second, I really like when you said na you parang you really know how, I mean, you really studied how to do financial modeling from the ground up. Hindi lang yung parang do financial models for already big companies, kasi it's very different eh. And especially in the Philippines, we're still young, we're developing, diba? We're mostly SMEs, that's very correct. So I think it's really a different field. Like, for example, you can go abroad, you can practice abroad, pero it's different eh when you apply those skills. And baka nga baka hindi ganun applicable eh yung mga financial modeling skills abroad sa Pilipinas, kasi it's a different it's a different size,
Yes.
different scale, it's a different basically it's a different environment. So yeah, thank you for sharing about that backstory. Pero you've been in many startups, ano. So maybe can we know lang some of the greatest learnings you have had in your journeys along those startup life, and maybe three advice to our startup founder listeners. Maybe you can share maybe
Yeah.
tatlong advice.
Yeah. So I think the first advice that I would really give is focus. Kasi once napansin ko to eh, even ako medyo na-guilty din ako during my early years na nung naka-receive na ako ng funding, there's a pressure to grow really quickly, nawawala yung focus mo. But you always need to determine what really is your North Star. What is your why? Why did you start this business? Who are you really trying to serve? So, and kasi when you know your focus, you can attract the right kind of investors, the right kind of team members who are aligned to your vision. As a founder, importante yon. Hindi pwedeng all over the place ka. Na tipong magkaroon ng problema dito, ay, ayoko na nito, ganyan. So, I mean, yeah, startup is a trial and error thing, but somehow, tignan mo rin, kasi minsan, if you were able to attract the right partners for you, people, investors, and even vendor partners, or even customers, doon matututunan mo if you're still on the right track or kailangan mo talagang mag-iba na no? Given the maybe market condition or nag-iiba na yung trend, ganyan. So that's the first thing, focus. The second thing is always, tawag dito, para sa akin as a finance professional, always look for that unit economics thing and your path to profitability. Kasi gone are the days of growth at all cost pa talaga. So, mahirap i-balance eh. Honestly, I've been into so many startups na, ano bang unahin natin? Increasing our market share or increasing our bottom line? So sabi ko, mas maganda kung both. But I do understand that there are, sometimes these are mutually exclusive eh. So inisip ko, baka may mali tayong strategy. So, kaya may isang co-founder na nagsabi nga sa akin, actually, ang kinaiba mo, Jay, sa iba is that you're not just a finance guy. You basically know how to build and talaga these companies. That's why we like you to be our advisor, ba, ganyan. So, because ganun ako magsabi sa kanila, talagang dinidiretso ko rin. So, yun. So, unit economics and path to profitability. That's number 2. Number 3 is siguro, ang pinaka-last ko is you have to find a way that within your startup journey, kailangan mo tanggapin that the best business are businesses that are not being run by you. Meaning to say, you need to think about succession planning na agad. Kasi lahat tayo may limitations. Hindi naman lahat tayo is parang, sino bang maano natin? Hindi naman tayo lahat is Elon Musk. Hindi naman lahat tayo is Mark Zuckerberg. So we have our own set of limitations. Like ako, I know my own set of limitations. I cannot be a CFO of a publicly listed company right now because I have a different skill set. And yung mga nandun naman, hindi kaya yung ginagawa ko. So you have to think about that na as early as your day one actually.
Wow, salamat
makes
sa mga advice na to. It's very unique to have this. I mean, this parang these are advices na parang really applicable and parang really for me distinct kasi it's very for me I from what I hear now, it's like really grounded with what happens in reality. So those three advices are focus, and then yung path to profitability are actually for me it's like sustainability kasi parang that's how you make your business sustainable. Parang really yung operations, you don't rely on fundraising, you don't rely on investments, you really rely on the money that your operations can bring to you. And third, I think ang keyword din dito is delegation or parang synergy ng team kasi it's true na when you're scaling an organization, hindi pwedeng ikaw lang yung diktador. Kumbaga lahat follow sa'yo. You really have to exploit or not exploit. You really have to utilize yung skills ng bawat isa, put them in the right positions, and work together as one startup, as one team. Pero speaking about focus, so it's true no na maybe for people or for founders, it's hard to keep your focus. Pero for you, Jay, you've had focus for quite a long journey now. So what keeps your focus on? What keeps you motivated nga but to do all that you have done?
I think it's all boils down to that why. May why kasi ako as I mentioned nga no. So it comes with my with kung saan ako galing on my background. I really am for economic empowerment. I even tried to have an edtech platform before but it failed because of the pandemic. Kung may mga watcher dito na nag-watch ng Kashopaw PH YouTube channel, boses ko po yun, ako po yun. But one thing that I noted na yung B2C approach kasi on finance, hindi siya ganon ka sustainable because people will always ask for freebies, for incentives. Paano naman yung negosyo? So isip ko, I need to find a way to still help these people be economically empowered. So how? So sabi ko, saan ba yung source of money nila? Most of the time, these are the small businesses. So if I help these small businesses scale, grow, create more value, natutulungan ko rin yung mga empleyado nila, yung mga tao nila. And then, yun nga, parang vertically, makakatch ko siya. So that's basically talaga my vision. And I want this honestly to be my legacy to not just to the country but to the world, di ba? Pang Miss Universe.
Yeah, pero I actually believe in the same. Actually, yun din somehow yung parang vision and philosophy ni Startup Podcast. Economic empowerment. Actually, with startups kasi, kaya ako pinili yung startups kasi I believe in two things. Entrepreneurship kasi it's the path to self-determination, I think, and innovation. Kasi innovation is the path to be competitive amidst this ang dami nangyayari sa mundo eh. So, I think those two things, entrepreneurship and innovation. And then when I thought about it, I think startups yung parang key, yung parang key machinery na gumagawa ng dalawang ayun. So that's actually also what we believe on in this podcast. Economic empowerment, especially for SMEs, especially for smaller units, hindi yung parang we're dominated by large conglomerates, we're dominated by large players. So let's give chances to everyone and let's level the playing field somehow. So, what's your vision for OneCFO naman? Maybe this is your vision for the country, or maybe for the whole world. Pero for OneCFO, ano ba yung nakikita mo in the future that you're trying to do? And kumbaga, how do you see maybe OneCFO in maybe 5 or 10 years?
Honestly, OneCFO will be the precursor of the revolution in financial services. I don't want it to be called disruption because I don't want to disrupt my fellow professionals. Mawawalan sila ng trabaho. But it's really more on upgrading them or upskilling them on the latest, on the technologies. Maybe 100 years from now, marami nang marireplace na, mga repetitive tasks na even mga professional services like accountants or lawyers, what they're doing, even doctors, by technology, be it robots, AI, or whatsoever. But yun ang vision ko. Little by little, it will be step by step. So one CFO is heading to that direction. We're trying to have that breakthrough of really having like if not 100% automating the entire finance stack, or professional services stack, maybe some parts of it that somehow will lead to that future talaga of finance. Ayun. And I think dalawa yan actually. So the second one is I really wanted ang pinagkaiba kasi ng OneCFO sa ibang competitors namin, the traditional firms basically, is that mapapansin mo na nasa gitna lagi yung premier CFO services namin kasi we don't see ourselves as a service provider lang dito sa mga kumpanya nito. We really want to be a partner for them to help them achieve their growth. Kung paanong natulungan ko yung mga entrepreneurs na humingi ng tulong sa akin nung mga nasa mid-20s pa ako, no? Hindi, bata pa naman ako, nasa 30s pa lang ako. I want to help more entrepreneurs. I want to help more small business owners and startup founders achieve what they have achieved. So yun.
Yeah, so it's a financial revolution that OneCFO is doing.
Yeah. Hopefully.
So maraming salamat, Jay, for this conversation. It's really very good and I learned a lot. Me myself, I learned about finances, fundraising, and kumbaga ano ba talaga yung role ng financial model sa isang startup. So if our listeners want to know more, Jay, about OneCFO, so how can they find more information? And baka mayroon kayong announcement or whatever ongoing activities that you can share to our listeners.
Yes. So basically, if you're looking for somebody who can help you on bookkeeping, tax, payroll services, and even CFO services, whether it's project-based or basta kung gusto nyo lumaki yung negosyo nyo or kumita kayo ng lumaki yung business nyo, kontakin nyo lang kami. Our website is onecfoph.co, walang M, .co. And you can also add us in Facebook, in LinkedIn. So type nyo lang OneCFOPH. So kami yon. Ongoing activities. Basically, we will be launching a series also of mga webinars. Kasi tax season no? Mag-April 15 na naman. Common questions on how you can really save on taxes, how can you file your taxes on time. And then even after that, paano mo i-execute yung in-annual budget mo last year. Especially with this so-called upcoming recession, a lot of entrepreneurs and founders need guidance on that. So we'll be launching that.
Yeah, interesting actually yung webinars. So I'll try my best then to help more people know more about OneCFO and actually just to help more people be financially and economically literate by... Yeah, so I think we have the same vision somehow. So maraming salamat, Jay, for this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you very much to our 29 patrons. Asklex PH Academy is our official e-learning partner. Get certifications on Lean Six Sigma, project management, data science, and many more. This episode is super powered by TechShake, Asia's most active Philippine-based startup ecosystem builder creating bridges with investors, corporations, and governments. OneCFO, the tech-enabled CFO, bookkeeping, and tax services for startups and SMEs. Pinoy IP Works, capture your startup's value proposition through patent and trademark protection. Pocketworks, the leading enabler and only Internet of Things social enterprise in the Philippines. Looking for buy and sell online with Sigurado sellers. NutriCoach, the all-in-one productivity tool for dietitians and nutritionists. Benjoy's Food Products, the home of premium bacon ends, tapa, and tocino. And 8chain, an 8-in-1 cryptocurrency project building one chain at a time starting with MaxRep Workout and Earn. This episode is powered by AdSwitch, Twala, ePlayment, Interleukin, and Hive Energy PH. Support the podcast through the links in the description.